Hey everyone, welcome to Life in the Provinces and Feudalism with Mr. Weaver. Hey guys, Mr. Weaver coming to you from Japan today. What you need to do today is take out your Lesson 5 packets entitled Life in the Provinces and Feudalism. Take those out, and as I'm discussing Life in the Provinces and Feudalism, you're going to write down the answers in your packet. So get your packets out now, pause the video, and unpause it when you're ready. Okay, everyone got your packets out? Awesome! Okay, so we're going to start off with life in the provinces. And we're going to talk about what life was like in the provinces. So first off, let's discuss the people there. Okay, 90% of the population lived in provinces. Most were peasant farmers. Peasant farmers were the farmers who worked on the lands, who grew the crops. They made a lot of different things to sell to the merchants. They were often mistreated and abused, and they paid the highest amount of taxes. They were the lowest people in the totem pole. They were very, 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 very low. And because of that, no one really liked them. They weren't seen as people. Okay, the other 10% of the people were called the regents or the courtiers. Regents and courtiers are two different people. The regents were the people who took place of a ruler if the ruler was sick or absent, and the courtiers were the people who were heavily involved in social life. Okay, these 10% of people really kind of ruled the 90% of the peasant farmers. And the peasant farmers began to be ignored by the regents and the courtiers because they were heavily involved in the social life and court life within Japan. Court life consisted of literature, plays, arts, poetry, all that good stuff. And the regents and the courtiers were heavily, heavily, heavily influenced, and they kind of stayed within the court life, ignored everyone else. By the 1100s, power shifted away from Kyoto, and Kyoto was the main capital in Japan at one point. Power shifted away from Kyoto and onto the Provisional Nobles. The Provisional Nobles were the high-up classes throughout Japan at one time. They were very high up. They were pretty much the rich class. And they began to combine their land together and start building larger and larger estates, so they were kind of free of government control. Say you want to get a lot of control of territory. What you did back then was you got as much land as you possibly could, and that was pretty much your land. The government didn't have much say of what you did on your land, and you had more and more land. Peasant farmers started giving up a lot of their land to the Provisional Nobles because they didn't want to pay taxes on it. They didn't want to pay these heavy taxes. They didn't want to go to war. They didn't want to join the army. So by giving their land to the nobles, peasants had to still work on their land, but worked for the nobles and not for the government. Thus, the government lost a lot of power and a lot of money, and things went down. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay. Now, because of this, people were powerless. The rulers, the people of Kyoto, were powerless. They didn't have much power anymore. They still ruled they still tried to rule, but they were seen out of touch with the people. They were called the dwellers amongst the clouds because they pretty much lived in their own world. They ignored everyone else. They did their own thing, and they had no connection with the people who they ruled anymore. They were the dwellers amongst the clouds. The government of Japan went back to the powerful landowners and provisional nobles of Japan. Now let's look at the 9th and 12th centuries. Japan was ruled by the Fujiwara clan. Okay, this clan was pretty remarkable, actually. They didn't really rely on military dictatorship, but rather on political strategy. They had this strategy that would keep them in power for a long time, and it was growing the clan by marriage. They were all related to the emperor somehow, and through marriage, the empire grew and grew and grew till they had a lot of power. Now, their power kind of dissolved over time after the 12th century because of the high taxes they were putting on peasants. So peasants started selling their lands to nobles, and the nobles started having the peasants work on their farms, and thus there was no tax money, money went down, power of the nobles went up, so power of the Fujiwara clan went down significantly till they were completely out of power. Okay, so now this clan is out, and power shifted to the landowners. Power of Japan shifted to the landowners. Now power shifted to the landowners, and these new leaders were basically warlords who governed by force. Now I have a question for you guys. Can you name some historical figures who ruled by force? Take a minute, pause the video, and we'll come back and talk about some. Hey guys, we're back. Did you think of some people that ruled by force? I came up with a few, like Stalin and Hitler, Santa Anna in Mexico, and Fidel Castro, just to name a few. Okay, let's continue on. There were two clans that really wanted to control Japan. One came out victorious, which was called the U2 Moa Clan. Okay, this clan really changed Japan's society forever. They did a few things. Number one, they created a shogun. The shogun was the main chief general of Japan. Shogun in Japan, or in Japanese, means great general. So he was the great general. He was similar to a European king. Number two, they moved the capital from Kyoto to Kamakura, which is near Tokyo. The reason is they didn't want their other officials, the people below them, to get caught up in court life. Because if they got caught up in court life, they're going to ignore the peasants, they're going to ignore all the people within Japan, and there's going to be some revolt and nothing good's happening. Okay? So that's the second thing they did. Third thing, they made the emperor not the emperor anymore. He was still the emperor, but it was more like a religious figurehead. He had no power. The emperor had absolutely no power after this. So that's a third thing they did. Fourth, they created a new warrior-based political system called feudalism. Feudalism, all it really is, it is land for loyalty. So if you're loyal to the shogun will give you land. But say you're in a high official. So say I'm just a guy lower than the shogun. He will give me land if I'm loyal to him, and I'm going to use it for peasants to farm on it, for people to live on it, so I can collect taxes. That's what feudalism is. It's giving you a sense of land. It's giving you land to be worked on, but you need to be loyal to the shogun to get the land. Feudalism is an economic and political system in which landowners or lords give protection to the people, and in return the people must provide their services. So once again, it's a system of land ownership and loyalty. And that's all I have for you today, guys. So I'll see you guys in class probably tomorrow. Have a good day.